In the quiet Michigan suburb of Willow Creek, a layer of snow blanketed the streets, wrapping the neighborhood in peaceful stillness. It was Christmas Eve, 2023, 11:47 p.m., when Katie Johnson sat alone in her softly lit bedroom. The harsh glow from her phone screen cast deep shadows across her face, illuminating the severe cystic acne scars that had marked her skin for 3 long years. Her hands trembled slightly as she scrolled through old messages she could no longer bear to read fully. A profound sense of loneliness hung around her, as heavy and tangible as the quilt clutched tightly in her lap. Depression had taken root, feeding her a relentless narrative that life held no future, no happiness, no purpose to keep going. Her journey with doctors had been a cycle of frustration and pain. 17 dermatologists later, each had promised new hope, but delivered only further disappointment. Treatments included antibiotics that upset her digestion, creams that irritated her skin more than the condition itself, and even experimental laser procedures that left her bedridden. The financial toll was devastating. Tens of thousands of her family's savings wiped out, their home lost to foreclosure. She'd even given up a full college scholarship, unable to face the public spaces of campus. Yet the emotional wounds ran deeper than the financial or physical ones. Friends who once shared laughter now ignored her messages, and her boyfriend ended their relationship with a blunt text, "I can't do this anymore." Social media, once a source of connection and inspiration, had turned hostile strangers, called her a monster and a freak. The girl who once dreamed of becoming a pediatric dermatologist, helping children feel at ease in their own skin, could no longer bear to look at her own reflection. Outside, the wind rattled against the frosted window panes, carrying the faint melodic chime of church bells in the distance. Katie felt herself sinking further into despair, as if this Christmas Eve might truly be her last. But fate, or perhaps something more, had other plans. Suddenly, the bedroom door creaked open sharply, breaking the heavy silence. In the doorway stood her 78-year-old grandmother Dorothy, her slight frame outlined by the hallway light. She carried an aged leather suitcase, her expression a mix of urgency and weariness from driving 30 miles through a winter storm. Her silver hair was slightly disheveled, her coat dusted with melting snow, but her eyes blazed with an intense, unwavering resolve. "Katie, honey," she said softly, her voice trembling like thin ice. "I know what you're feeling tonight, and I won't let you go through it alone." Startled, Katie wiped her tears and asked Grandma, "Why are you here? It's so late and—" "The roads are dangerous." Dorothy stepped into the room gently, closing the door behind her. She set the suitcase down carefully, as if it held something precious and fragile. For years, she'd lived in the old farmhouse, where she'd raised Katie's father, Bob, and rarely visited, often citing sore joints and travel difficulties. But the deeper truth was that watching her granddaughter's pain, while feeling powerless to ease it, had repeatedly wounded her spirit. "I came because I felt you were teetering on the edge," my dear, Dorothy explained, her voice steadying as she sat on the bed. "There's something I need to share, something I've kept hidden for far too long. You're not the first in our family to stand this close to the darkness." Katie frowned, confused. Her grandmother had always been a symbol of warmth and strength, the kind who filled the home with the scent of fresh apple pie and never missed a Sunday church service. Her faith had seemed as solid and enduring as the oak trees on her property. How could she possibly understand this kind of pain? Taking a slow, deliberate breath, Dorothy began to roll up the long sleeves she'd worn religiously throughout even the sweltering Michigan summers. For the first time, Katie saw them faint, web-like scars snaking across her grandmother's forearms, the lingering marks of a severe inflammatory condition that mirrored her own agony. "I had the same condition, Katie. Dorothy said, her voice soft, but steady. When I was 22, just your age now, it was at its worst. The pain, the shame, it nearly broke me. Her words hung heavy in the quiet room, leaving Katie frozen, her throat tight. You never told anyone? She whispered finally. Not even Dad? Dorothy's gaze drifted as if peering through the mists of decades. I hid it for 60 years, she admitted. I made sure the world forgot, but that ends tonight. As the clock ticked toward midnight, Dorothy wove the story of her survival, a tale of secrets and resilience. She revealed she wasn't born Dorothy Thompson. That name had come with her marriage to Katie's grandfather, a kind Michigan farmer. Her true name was Dora Kowalski, a young Polish Jew who'd endured the unspeakable horrors of the Holocaust. In 1944, I was sent to Auschwitz, she began, her tone measured but laced with raw emotion. Starvation, brutality, they unleashed a hereditary skin condition that turned monstrous. My arms, my face, covered in angry, painful sores. Later, in a displaced persons camp in Germany after liberation in 1945, I felt I'd survived the war only to lose to my own body. Katie leaned in transfixed as her grandmother painted vivid scenes of camp life. Barbed wire under leaden skies, emaciated figures huddled for warmth, the gnawing ache of hunger. Yet, amid the despair, there had been a sliver of hope. Dorothy spoke of Dr. Samuel Goldstein, a Berlin dermatologist whose practice the Nazis had stolen. With meager supplies scrounged from Allied aid crates, he treated survivors holistically, understanding how trauma magnified physical suffering. Stress hormones ravaged inflammatory conditions like ours, Dorothy explained. So he paired whatever remedies we could find, simple salves, makeshift antibiotics, with group sessions where we shared our worst fears. He built a community from ruins, teaching us that healing the mind was as vital as healing the body. She opened her worn leather suitcase, revealing not valuables but a treasure trove. Yellowed medical journals, handwritten notes from Dr. Goldstein, and faded research papers. After the war, I came to America in 1947, arriving in New York with nothing but hope, she continued. In Detroit, I found Dr. Sarah Rosen, another survivor. She refined his methods better, creams, diets tailored to counter years of malnutrition, therapy to ease the guilt that worsened my flare-ups. From the case, she pulled out photographs. The first showed a gaunt young woman in 1946, her skin pocked with cysts and scars, her eyes hollow with defeat. The second, from 1948, showed her smiling shyly, sunlight catching her clear, glowing skin. It took 2 relentless years, Dorothy said, not just creams and pills, but rebuilding my trust in life through therapy, proper food, and the support of others who understood without needing explanations. Tears streamed down Katie's face, a mix of hope and wonder. But Grandma, why hide all this for so long? Dorothy sighed. Shame first, she confessed. Then I wanted to protect you, all of you, to give you a normal life, but watching you suffer reopened those old wounds. Now I see why I survived, to help you. She clasped Katie's scarred hands. Dr. Rosen trained others who carried her work forward. There's a clinic in Ann Arbor. They specialize in holistic care for cases like ours, dermatology, psychology, nutrition support groups. It's not just about your skin. It's about reclaiming your soul. For the first time in years, a spark of hope flickered in Katie. We can't afford it, Grandma, she said softly. We've lost everything. Dorothy's smile held the quiet strength of someone who'd weathered countless storms. I've been saving for this without even realizing it, she replied. From a hidden compartment in the suitcase, she withdrew bank statements. $47,000. Dearest sense money she'd scrimped over decades. since her husband's death in 1985. Every small sacrifice, every mended dress, had been tucked away in a fund meant for her funeral. Christmas morning dawned, with fresh snow and a newfound understanding. The family gathered in the living room, the tree's lights twinkling like timid stars. Bob, Katie's father, a sturdy auto worker with calloused hands, spoke with emotion. "Mom, that's your safety net. We can't spend it on something so uncertain." Linda, Katie's mother, a nurse, worn thin by double shifts, nodded gently but firmly. "The risk is too great," she said. But Dorothy stood tall, her voice carrying the weight of someone who'd weathered storms most could scarcely imagine. "I've crossed oceans, survived hell on Earth, and rebuilt a life from rubble," she declared. "Survived hell on Earth," she declared. "I've crossed oceans, survived hell on Earth. Crossed oceans, survived." It comes from inaction. This money isn't just for treatment, it's for hope. A heavy silence settled over the room as eyes met a shared vulnerability hanging between them. Bob recalling his own unspoken battles with anxiety after factory layoffs, and Linda acknowledging the emotional toll of watching her daughter withdraw, exchanged a glance. For the first time they spoke openly about mental health, the air thick with relief and understanding. "We'll do this properly," Linda affirmed, her voice steady. "Full medical oversight, therapy, everything." Dr. Patricia Williams, Katie's current dermatologist, a no-nonsense specialist known for tackling stubborn cases, reviewed the Ann Arbor Clinic's protocols. Initially skeptical, she admitted during a video call from her book-lined office, "Their data is impressive. An 85% success rate with refractory acne through integrated care. They use cutting-edge biologics, microbiome analysis, and cognitive behavioral therapy to address trauma-induced flare-ups." Treatment began in January, a multifaceted approach to Katie's condition. Mornings started with advanced topical treatments and carefully calibrated retinoids. Afternoons included systemic medications and nutrient-rich shakes packed with omega-3s to tamp down inflammation. Evenings were dedicated to therapy with Dr. Elena Vasquez, who guided Katie to confront her social anxiety and practice mindfulness, breaking cycles of despair. Dorothy moved in her presence, a steady anchor. She cooked meals infused with anti-inflammatory herbs and shared stories from her past each night. "In the camp, we sang forbidden songs to remember we were human," she'd murmur, her voice soft as a lullaby. "Healing needs connection. Katie, lean on us." Challenges arose, of course. Medication side effects left her fatigued, and therapy sessions unearthed buried anger. One evening, Katie broke down, sobbing. "What if it doesn't work this time?" Dorothy held her close, her touch firm and warm. "Then we adapt," she replied. "Survival isn't about being perfect, it's about persistence." By April, 4 months into treatment, a shift began. The inflammation softened, redness faded, but the true transformation was internal. Katie started journaling, tentatively at first, then with growing candor. She joined a virtual support group, finding solace in others who understood the isolating toll of chronic illness. Even filming short videos about her journey, speaking openly about the mental strain, felt like a step toward reclaiming her voice. By August, 8 months after Dorothy's revelation, Katie's skin had cleared significantly, but more profound was the renewal of her spirit. She re-enrolled in university, shifting her major to medical social work, driven to help others navigate the labyrinth of complex healthcare systems. The family, too, had transformed. Bob began attending therapy to address his long-buried anxiety, and Linda learned to balance caring for others with tending to her own needs. On Katie's graduation day in 2025, she stood tall, wearing short sleeves with pride. Her scars, once a source of shame, now visible badges of resilience. During her final checkup, Dr. Williams smiled, saying, Your grandmother gave you more than financial support. She showed that real healing weaves medicine, mind, and love together. Today, Katie volunteers at support groups, sharing her story, not as a fairy tale, but as a practical roadmap. Seek comprehensive care, embrace vulnerability, and build community. Dorothy, now 80, beams at family gatherings, her eyes crinkling with quiet pride as she watches the girl she once held as a baby grow into a woman who turned pain into purpose. That's all about our stories. Do you have any thoughts after hearing the story? Please share it in the comments below.